Massachusetts Senator Ed Markey says he has a plan to relieve some of the economic strain from the coronavirus. I spoke with him earlier today via Zoom about that and another plan that he's introducing. Let's start with the coronavirus pandemic. You proposed a bill last week that would send Americans $2,000 a month for the length of this pandemic. What specifically would that bill do?
Well, the idea that Senator Kamala Harris and Bernie Sanders and I have is that while we sent a one-time $1,200 check to everyone in America, it's not enough. This is going to go on for some period of time. So our idea is that on a recurring basis, on a monthly basis, that everyone gets a $2,000 check from the federal government. So a husband and wife would receive $4,000. For children, they would get more, and it would help them to pay their bills, their mortgage, their rent, for the food, for the prescriptions, for the car payments, whatever, to help families through this crisis.
You have estimated this could cost close to $6 trillion. Republicans have said it's a non-starter. Are there any senators or congressmen from the other side of the aisle who in private to you are saying we do need to do something along these lines, or is this dead in the water?
I actually believe that while some people say we can't afford to do it, that the reality is we can't afford not to do it. And that reality is going to become much more evident as each week goes by, as each month goes by, as we get closer to 1930s Depression-era economic conditions. And that it's going to be clear that we have to keep funneling additional help into the hands of workers and families, and that's the only way we're going to be able to save our economy from completely collapsing. And I think that's going to become more evident to Republicans as each week and month go by.
Massachusetts is planning to reopen part of its economy Monday. We have seen the numbers declining here, if slowly. Do you support reopening here?
Well, again, it's a question of, do we have enough testing? Do we have enough contact tracing? Do we have enough personal protective equipment? When the answer to each question is yes, then it's going to be much safer and more likely that people will go back into stores or go back to work. It's a matter of consumer confidence.
So many people have had to cancel their flights, of course, during this coronavirus pandemic. You and Senator Elizabeth Warren have introduced a bill that would require airlines not to give vouchers to the people who had to cancel their flights, but actual cash. Why is that? How do you force the airlines to do that?
Well, we're going to have to legislate because the airlines don't want to give the cash back to passengers who canceled their flights because it was too unhealthy, too unsafe to get back on planes. Passengers need that money back from the airlines.
You say it's some $10 billion in vouchers that the airlines are holding right now, but travel has plummeted 90% since the pandemic began. Can the airlines afford to give cash at this point back to all of those passengers?
Well, Spirit Airlines, Allegiant Airlines, they have given money back to those passengers. It's the larger air carriers who are not doing it. So if those smaller carriers can do it, then the larger carriers can as well, especially since they're the ones who received the $25 billion to keep their companies afloat. Well, they should give that money back to passengers and not use the money that passengers paid for tickets as a piggy bank when the passengers may never take that flight in their lives.
Dr. Rick Bright testified today before Congress. He is the former top vaccine official who was ousted after raising some concerns about the president's push for a certain drug to treat the coronavirus. He today said that he warned the administration about key shortages in PPE and that he was ignored. What was your reaction to his testimony today?
I know that Dr. Bright is telling the truth because I told the same thing to Vice President Pence more than 2 months ago, that there was a Department of Health and Human Services study that said that there would be a need for 3.5 billion N95 masks, billion. And he said, well, that's news to me. And I said, well, it's an HHS study. So I know they know what the number is, but they've just been in denial the whole way. So Dr. Bright is a truth teller. He's shining a spotlight on the denial of the Trump administration that we needed much more personal protective equipment. And the more that we shine a spotlight on this is the more likely we'll finally invoke the Defense Production Act and begin to manufacture the level of personal protective equipment that we need.
Well, finally, let's talk politics. You are running, of course, for re-election. Congressman Joe Kennedy is challenging you for the Democratic nomination. He says that we need a change. Why is he wrong?
Well, I've been leading and delivering for the state of Massachusetts throughout my career on every issue that affects the Commonwealth. I've been doing the same thing with regard to the coronavirus, standing up and fighting the Trump administration for the things that the people of Massachusetts and our country need. And I will be running on my record of leading and delivering for the state of Massachusetts on the Green New Deal, on gun safety, and on coronavirus and many other issues.
Senator Ed Markey, thank you for joining us, and stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you so much for talking to me.